What's up, everybody? I'm your host, Joseph, and welcome to Fiction Ink Flow. Happy New Year, and I want to talk to you about Juvenile, a new indie comic by Image Comics, written and illustrated by Jesus or Atlanta. I may be messing that last name up, but I want to jump right into it. Imagine what would happen if adolescence was the worst time of your life. Let's go. Our story starts off by letting you know that adolescence sucks. It's always been this problem, but it's usually temporary. You can get a zit, a couple of things go on, and that's about it. But all of that seemed to change 21 years ago. This terrorist attack destroyed entire cities, and they released something called the Red Christmas, and millions were killed in just a few hours. But the worst was yet to come. The chemical weapon they used, they had something in it called the juvenile virus. First, it starts with migraines, and then after that, when puberty comes, people start hearing voices, and not long after that, it's death. The virus spread like wildfire, and adults just panicked. So they were trying to figure out what to do, and they put these kids in this like makeshift like orphanage, So these centers opened up, which is where we are now, and then the medication came, and then finally the surgeries. So they give the kids these pills that slow down the spread of the virus. However, it's still fatal. Like missing a dose can cause death. But the medication only gives you a few months at best. Then you have the surgery. And then not everyone makes it out of the surgery alive. So yeah, they're saying like adolescence sucks and it's a guaranteed death sentence. The story opens up with the people in charge of the centers waking up the adolescents. So we open to an unknown protagonist who's talking to herself and saying, they take our phones, which is cruel, and that this is all just some kind of torture. And you see the type of group of kids that they're around. So it's almost like being in some kind of a group home where kids are nasty to each other, just being mean. Typical adolescent stuff, but just more extreme. At this point, we get a few names of our characters: Marcus, Jen, Lucas, Zoe, Ella, Noah, Sarah, and Tyler. So we see them doing their daily routine, coming in to get their pills first thing in the morning, and they're telling them to take care. And we have a new arrival showing up. There is someone new coming to the center, and they said, well, this is different. There's a police car. Like, what's going on? That's the first time this has ever happened. We next join the kids kind of gathering around the window to see who it is. Like, it's like a rebel or some kind of spoiled wannabe. And it's like, oh, that's just your type. And then Lisa kind of looks and says, oh, just another jerk, somebody we need. But something's different. If you notice, when Lisa said that in her head, it looks like this new guy looked at her like he heard what she was saying. Our new inmate, or should I say patient, arrives at the facility to talk to the officials about what's going on. And, he says they said the handcuffs won't be necessary because it's a hospital, not a prison. He's like, yeah, I can tell that. And he's on his way to meet the director. So our new protagonist, Max, meets the director, John Holden, and he's telling him about, the facility a little bit and saying that I see you're 15 years old and that you've had some problems in the other place you were last located. Max fires back with a little sarcasm, saying that's one way of putting it. And so John is asking him, like, why do you think you're actually here? He was like, well, I don't know, maybe because I misbehaved. He said, no, you're not here for misbehaving. You're here for treatment. You are infected. That's what's going on with you. And I promise that you'll leave here as a sane young man. He's saying the facility, El Castillo, is the oldest center in the country and it's the best equipped, and they have a 75% success rate. But all that determines on the teamwork that's put into it. So if you work with us, they'll make sure that you come out alive and well. Like, you got to understand this. Like, yep, loud and clear. Miss Gillespie, the head nurse, escorts Max to his new facilities, and she kind of walks him in like almost like prison with his uniform. She's saying, in our unit we only have a few people per ward, and you'll be in Ward 9. This is your new home. You'll get more personalized treatment. I'm sure you'll make friends. And she's saying, okay, now this is your classroom. You'll be in school every day except for Sundays, and I'm sure you'll catch up with the rest of us. And he's just saying, like, okay, sure. This does really seem like a prison treatment or some kind of enslavement camp. It seems like this facility is not what it promises to be. Finally, Miss Gillespie introduces Max to the common room where like people hang out. She's telling the girls to keep her feet off the table, and then that his bed will be over here. And she introduces him to a few friends if he has any more questions, which is Tyler, Noah, and Sarah. Miss Gillespie then tells Sarah that she shouldn't spend so much time in the boys' dorm and that she should try to really bond and get with the and make friends with the girls, and that it's against the rules to be over here for so long. Sarah, of course, apologizes, but in her head she's like, I'm sure they can't wait to see me. Then Tyler goes ahead and breaks down some of the things that's been going on. Like, have you heard the rumors about this place? And Max like, what? Like the surgery. He says Jack said it turned you into a vegetable. He hears voices more than anybody else, and he says they're ghosts from the previous patients that have hunted this place. He said just yesterday they took him to the operation room and he was scared out of his mind. And obviously they wouldn't tell us if anything went wrong. And so Max like, yeah, who the heck is Jack? He's like, well, that was the person that was in your bed last time. Tyler tells Max to get dressed, and that means the bell is time for class. And Sarah says, you look like you're going to love it here. Math is first. And welcome to hell. Max comes to class and the teacher tells him to find an empty seat. And I want you to notice the interaction here between Max and Sarah. So Sarah's thinking like, not here, not here. And he sits directly next to her. And she's like, hey, great. This is what happens when I don't sit with Noah. Do I have a management for creeps of what? And she's like, all the other girls are basically going to tease me now. Like Max and Sarah, Max and Sarah. After Sarah says that, if you notice, Max kind of smirks to himself. And she's like, what's wrong with him? Does he find equations funny? But it's almost like he can hear her. And then it says, okay, can you solve this problem for me? Max, do you dare? He's like, yeah, I'm not so much. And then Sarah thinking, it's too much for you, huh? It took me 4 minutes to solve this one. The answer is 87. Like, good luck, genius. And so he's like, 87, right? And the teacher's like, that a boy? Like, we're going to get along just fine. And Sarah looks at him like, how did you figure that out? In our next scene, we see Max getting ready to take his daily medication. So the nurse is telling him to come here, and he's like, do we have to take it here? And my previous center's like, is there a problem? And say, no, this is not your previous center, so come on, take your pills. And so he takes it and goes, there you go. But you don't see him actually swallow it. He just makes the gulping sound, and his cup is empty. He didn't even actually look under his tongue or open his mouth. So I don't know if he actually took the medication. Everyone now has a little downtime, and Max talks to Tyler about the place. He's saying that, the director seemed like he was in the military, right? And Tyler's like, yeah, it's hard to miss that. Mr. Holden was the one who helped prompt these centers and after the Red Death, and that El Castillo is the first. And he was like, this place has bars and armed guards. It's like, this is a military prison that's disguised as a kindergarten. He said, well, at least we don't have at least we have the medication and the surgery, right? Without the sentence, we'll all be dead by now. That it's because of the stupid bombs that we're sick in the first place. And so everybody's kind of like, what are y'all talking about? Like, you believe in the government? Good luck with that. And Sarah's kind of tuning out, listening to her Walkman. Over on the girl side, they're kind of like talking it up about Max and kind of what some questions that they have. Like, what do you think about this new guy? Like, he looks like he's in a boy band. One girl's like, I heard he killed a guard while trying to escape his old place. And he said, he look like he has eyes on our Sarah Tita, like making fun of her. And say, maybe he ends up killing her. That would be exciting for a change. Like, don't be mean to that poor girl. She's busy taking care of her freak brother. They hurry up before the lights go off. There's ghosts around here. Like, shut up. So they're all kind of just teasing her, and she's in the bathroom by herself just crying. So Sarah's talking to herself, trying to question, like, am I really crying over what these girls are talking about? And then this lights out, and she's trying to make it back to her bed. And she's like, great, now I got to get back here in the dark. And then she hears this sound. She's like, what is that? So Sarah goes to investigate the sounds. Like, it sounds distant. It's like, it sounds like it's a voice, but it's coming from my own head too. And you notice this red thought bubble start to appear. And when she looks up, she sees Max, and he's like, oh snap. And he drops something, and Sarah is shocked, and she's like, oh no, what is that? It's some kind of shiv, and it's falling down. It's gonna make a sound, but then it just stops mid-air. And she's like, is it floating? And you see Max's hand outreach like he's making this happen. Max panics and stops using his telekinesis, and the shiv hits the ground. And the guard comes in and is like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just, and he's like, get back to your bed. Now Sarah's world is blown. She's like questioning everything. She's like, what just happened? What was that voice? Like, was it Max? Like, what the heck was he doing up there? Like, was he trying to break out? I saw him. He reached out for the spoon and just stopped it in midair. But how? Then we see this red bubble come in, and he's saying Sarah's name. And she's like panicking, like, what's going on with her? And she's screaming. And then we have the grossest scene in the book so far. It's almost like her head explodes, and all these red pills that she's been taking like burst out. And then she's kind of like just coughing and coughing. She was like, what is going on? It's as almost if she has now finally been woken up. So this is the end of Juvenile issue number 1. It is a 5-issue series, and if you want, I will continue to do this whole series as it comes out. It looks really interesting to me, and it seems like these pills that the kids are forced to take is actually subduing some kind of mental capabilities, like they're going to have telekinesis and telekinetics. So I wonder if there's something that they're really trying to prevent from happening, or that these kids are finally figuring out, like, hey, we can probably even run the world with this. So that has been Juvenile #1. Once again, I'm your host, Joseph, and if you think I made it make sense, hit that like button for me. And if you want me to do more on this series, drop a comment below. Tell me what you thought about this series, Juvenile. Seems like a great book, and I am all in. And don't forget to hit post notifications to know when new content drops just like this. And until next time, peace.
I'm your host, Joseph. Fiction Ink Flow.
If you don't have it, you are truly missing it.
What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
it.
Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?
If you don't have it, you are truly missing
Fiction
it.
Ink Flow. What's up? We are talking about Fiction Ink Flow. What's up?